They're on that. There's one there. Whenever, right?
Here. Mr. Romine? Here. And I'm here. I ask this applicant to lead us in prayer and Alderman, lead us in the pledge if you'd like to join.
Right. Dear
Father, we just thank you for this day. We just thank you for this wonderful weekend that we recently had and the graduates who were able to complete their journey through high school. I just pray that you will be with each one of them as they contemplate what their next moves are, and that you will bless them and lead them through their lives. I just lift up our teachers as they have a time of rest. I just pray that you will be with them and help them to be renewed before we get started again in the fall. Be with those who've lost loved ones, who are hurting. I just pray that you will bless them and hold them close to your heart. Be with our administration as they plan for the next season, and just take care of our kids and our parents as they're having a time at home to enjoy and travel and enjoy being at home. I just pray that you'll be with this board to do the things, make the decisions that would be pleasing in your sight, and that you would be with each one who's here tonight. These things I ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The agenda for tonight, we're gonna make one change. Item 9B, just stock reminders. We're gonna move those up to right before public comments. So right after presentations, and we'll move cycle break. Does anybody else have any changes or comments on the agenda for tonight? If not, I'd seek a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Been motion in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I seek a motion for approval for our regular board meeting from April 15th.
So moved.
Second.
Motion in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Presentations.
Mr. President, members of the board, this evening, we have a number of presentations and recognitions. And so at this time, as we move to the front, I'll have Mr. Rozier give the details on our first presentation and recognition.
They bring the jump ropes.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Strickland. Tonight, we're so excited to recognize two of our elementary young men. They are being recognized for their participation and excellence in the Jump Rope for Heart for American Heart Association. And so our first student we're going to recognize is Adrian Lozano. And then we also have Hayden Gomez. Adrian, just a few facts about what these young men have done. Adrian is a #4 fundraiser in New Mexico. Adrian raised $2,182.56. Yeah, wow. Hayden is a #9 student in the state, raising $1,260.68. How long did you guys jump? Forever? Your heart in good shape now?
Yes.
Do you have a heart, right? Awesome.
And they're gonna jump all summer long.
All right. We're just proud to recognize these young men. It's not just about jumping rope. It's about their willingness to serve, and our value as a Hobbs Schools community, their service to others. It's easy to raise money, but to give it to an organization like that, congratulations, Jungmin.
Cheese, right there on the green. On the green. 1, 2, 3. Good job. Good job. Good boys, good job.
Next up, we have Skills USA, Mr. Juan Carlos. Oh, all right, Sarah Calloway's gonna do it, great.
Stand up here. All right, Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Strickland, and guests. My name is Sarah Calloway, and I'm a lead Skills USA advisor for Hobbs High and CTEC. In March, we took 94 students to Albuquerque to compete at our state conference for Skills USA. We had 42 gold medals, making them eligible to compete at our national conference in Atlanta next month. I will present their names and competitions at this time. Sorry, I have asthma. Okay. Action Skills, Adrian Villegas. American Spirit, Sina Centeno, Karime Contreras. Wanarona, Chapter Business Procedure, Abby Rogers, Audrey Davidson, Rosie Cavanes, Jocelyn Velasco, Natalie Vega, Eileen Pacheco. Opening and closing ceremonies, Vesta Chamblin, Ray Stover, Miley Silva, Joseph Alvarez, Irvin Sainez, Brian Salazar, Mario Vejar. Promotional Bulletin Board, Arlene Rodriguez, Isabella Flauto, Jaslyn Mendoza. Quiz Bowl, Duke Umbro, Adriana Rivera, Victoria Rodriguez, Luis Caballero, James Evans. Community Service, Eric Torres, Isael Rodriguez, Adriel Rivera. Baking, Emma Holt. Carpentry, Brian Salazar. Electrical, Josh Vargas. HVAC, Manny Slate. Mechatronics, Sergio Avina, Cassius Gonzalez. Plumbing, Julian Laughlin. Teamworks, George Tarin, Luis Fuentes, Javen Montiel, Yandel Ontiveros. Welding, Diego Anchondo. Welding Sculpture, Areli Palacios. Thank you.
A little bit, the board scoot, and then y'all flag the board for me, please.
Make a gap in the middle.
I don't think they do either. Flag at the side. There you go. There you go. Like your old place. Let me do it for you. No.
Let me know. All right, on 3.
On 3. 1, 2, 3.
Well, there you go.
Minute.
Good job. Plenty of water.
Good luck, guys.
Good luck. Great job.
Girls, go guys. Proud of you. Proud of you. I like those t-shirts. I love their. No, I like that.
All right, Mr. President, members of the board, we have Mr. Chuck Pierce on esports. Right here. Look at that. How about that? There you go. One minute right there. Great job, great job. That'll work for.
All right, Superintendent Strickland, members of the board, thank you all very much for the opportunity to be here today. This is our esports champions. These are our esports champions. We had 2 gold medal teams and 1 silver medal team this year. Our silver medal team was undefeated in both the fall and the spring until they got to the championship game for both. So fantastic fantastic team. Great job they've done. We have a couple more that are trying to get here. They were having mental issues. But we just like to just recognize the fact that they've overcome a lot. This year we started with Dr. Anna Burns leading our program. And at the end of November, she passed away unexpectedly. And she was the pioneer of esports for Hobbs High School. She was the motivating force behind it. She was the drive. And, I was honored to serve with her for several years as an assistant coach and took up the position of head coach whenever we started this NMAA season. And these kids have stepped up so well. I'd like to just kind of mention a brief story about one of our seniors, Dawn, who came to me right as the season was beginning, and she just said, "Coach Pierce," and she was so passionate, so serious. She said, "Coach Pierce, somebody has got to win a gold medal today, this year, for Dr. Burns. Somebody." And we won 2 of them. And so just so proud of these guys, so proud. Our program competed in all 9 titles that the NMAA sanctioned, and most of our titles, 7 of the 9 made playoffs. 3 of them made it into championship matches. The 5A, there's 27 5A competing schools, and they finished 4th as a total team overall. Here's our last one, Santiago, coming back now. So give it up for our team, guys. Appreciate that very much. So thank y'all very much for the opportunity to be here to just recognize their accomplishments.
Good. Squeeze in just a little bit. Don't take up right there. Scoot that way. There you go. That's perfect. Okay, here we go. Coach. Awesome. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Good job.
Mr. President, members of the board, we have K1 Nunnery here from Rotary Hobbs to present our next recipients.
Superintendent Strickland and members of the board, thank you for having me tonight, and good evening to everyone. It's my great pleasure that I present to you the District 5520 Hobbs Rotary Club 4-way test essay contest winners. Sponsored by Rotary International, the 4-way test challenges 8th grade students to reflect on 4 simple yet powerful questions. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? These principles are not just words on a page, they are a way of life. Today, we recognize students who have taken time to think deeply about these values and what they mean and how they can apply them to their own lives and in their communities. The students that we're recognizing today are thoughtful, sincere, inspiring. They remind us all that even at a young age, our future leaders are thinking critically about integrity, fairness, and the impact of their choices. I'm incredibly proud of every 8th grade student in Hobbs that participated in this contest, but there are 3 that were particularly extra special that happened to place 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place. So I will, without further ado, go ahead and call those students up. And just before I do that, I would like to say thank you to Hobbs Schools, the personnel, the teachers, the families of these students, and the Hobbs Rotary Club. So our 1st place winner for the Rotary 4-way test essay contest was Christian Forrester. Christian got 1st place locally, but he also, because he was the 1st place winner, I had to send his essay to our district at the state level. Well, not even the state level, just district level, because it covers Texas too. And Christian got 2nd place in our district across the state of New Mexico and Texas. And so he also got some extra recognition there. I'm sure he wasn't disappointed in that check. Our 2nd place winner was Huntley Hughes. Both of these students attend Houston Junior High, and their sponsoring teacher was Mrs. Garcia, I believe, Debbie Garcia. And then our last winner, the third place winner was Yesenia de la Cruz, and she's from Heiser Junior High. She's not here tonight, but she did also write an incredible essay, and I'm so thankful that all of these students chose to participate, that the AVID program and the teachers in HMS have kind of taken this on as an assignment for these students. And I think it's a great place for eighth graders to start thinking about things like that, with ninth grade being next. But anywho, congratulations to both of you, and thank you so much for participating.
And then I have to see that. Can you share what your essay was about, or the topic that you covered specifically reference to your essay?
My essay was about how social media can affect teenagers and how. My essay was about sportsmanship in sports and in the real world.
On three. 1, 2, 3. Wait just 1 second. There you go.
Sorry if our smiles look weird. We had to do like 700 grad photos smiling. Smile muscles are sore still.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Still wearing off the soreness. Right. So, Mr. President, members of the board, it's my honor this evening to, on your behalf, present to members of our community the Excellence in Student Achievement Award recipients for the 2024-2025 school year. You, as a Board of Education, selected these members of our community to recognize for their ongoing excellence in pursuing and helping us pursue student achievement. So the first up out of those two awardees is United Way Lee County. So Becca and her team at United Way of Lee County, if you haven't heard of United Way of Lee County, you've been living under a rock. Because I will tell you, that is one mighty team there that does phenomenal things for our entire community, not just our kids. And so on behalf of Hobbs Schools, Becca and United Way of Lee County, as well as board members, thank you for the jobs that you do that make our kids' lives better, because you enrich their lives so that they can be better versions of themselves and make our communities even better. Thank you all.
I want to squeeze in just a little bit. I don't know. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
The second recipient this evening is someone that, and really an organization here in our community that has a direct impact on our students' lives. And I can tell you, I've been in the belly of that beast that happens every single week throughout the school year. And so the Weekend Hunger Initiative, Hobbs, or Why Hobbs, that backpack initiative led by Leslie and her team, does a phenomenal job for our kids here in Hobbs. So if y'all want to come on up. So why Hobbs, Leslie? Thank you all for the job that you do and the partnership that you have with us. We recognize that we're here for an academic purpose. And you all recognize that if students don't have their needs met, specifically in a food manner, learning is even more difficult. So thank you for taking that challenge on. I know it's not easy, and you guys do a phenomenal job loving on our kids. On behalf of Hobbs Schools, thank you for the job you do.
You guys.
I'd like to just say, I know y'all can hear me okay. I'd like to just say real quick, every year, the board, we're tasked with trying to pick some organizations or some individuals in our community that we can to present this award to. And I say task, not because it's something we feel it's a chore to do, because we want to give the award, but it's a task because there are so many important organizations and people in our community. We can stand up here all night and hand out awards. It's a great place to live in Hobbs. It's great to have these organizations. If you look, when you go to different functions in town, whether it be barbecue cook-offs, reading under the lights, anything like that, you'll see United Way is there in some capacity. And then the Y Hobbs, it's very important a lot of times, and we've heard it a lot. Sometimes the only meal a kid will get in our schools is one they get at school. And having this initiative to send backpacks home on the weekend, so these kids won't go hungry, is just very important. It's really touching. It really touches my heart. So thank you for what you do, Becca, your team. Thank you for what you do. We appreciate it.
Thank y'all.
So, Mr. President, members of the board, I'd like for Tina and Sean to come up. They've got a presentation as well as members of CTEC to come join us. Tina and Sean are of ConocoPhillips, and they've got a few words to share with us. That's fine, yeah.
Good evening, board and superintendent. Thank you for having us today. Each year, ConocoPhillips provides grants across the state of New Mexico for schools like CTEC facilities and to further our education. ConocoPhillips this year is investing in the future of Southeast New Mexico with a generous grant of $37,500 to the CTEC's oil and gas program. These funds will help fuel our workforce development, providing students with the skills and opportunities needed to thrive in this industry that we know that we all need. CTEC continues to turn dreams into reality. With this support, the program will further empower the next generation of our young professionals. So we'd like to present this check to you guys for $37,500. Thank you so much.
Let's get a smile. Good.
Scooting,
Get right here.
keep scooting. You're
Sure.
looking great. Okay, on three. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you
so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
I will.
Don't spend it all in one week. Have a good night.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
Okay, moving on. We'll go to the next topic, which is our steeple bond sale.
Good evening, members of the board. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Excellent. Very good. Well, President, members of the board, and Superintendent Strickland, and members of the community there, thanks for having us. I'm Brad Angst with Steeple Public Finance, joined my business partner, Nick Kane. Good to be with you. We serve as the district's bond advisors, and we're here with you this evening just to give you a little bit of an update. We are getting to the point where it's time to do the next bond financing for some of your construction projects. We've been working with staff over the last several months to help put together some packages, working together with the PSCOC and some of those state matching funds. So of course, the district is responsible for a local portion, and so we're beginning the process of structuring and preparing to sell some bonds based off your voter authorization. So this is all from what the voters approved at election. I'm going to share my screen here. Again, just briefly wanted to go through some calendar timeline items, and I know it's probably hard to read on your monitors, but really what I want to just show you is that we're at the beginning of your process. So tonight we're just giving you a bit of an update. Really next month is when we'll be in front of you with a couple of resolutions that look to approve some items as we begin to move forward with the bond sales. So June 17th, we aim to have some of those items in front of you. And then shortly thereafter, about a week after, we'll be looking to price and sell the bonds into the market and lock in your interest rates and cost of capital at that time. So mid to late July is when we're looking to do that. And then that will provide funding approximately 30 days later after the AG approves some of this transcript and other items. But this is, again, been a deliberate process working with staff. It's been a multi-step process, and all of this is intended to help keep a steady tax rate, what has been discussed with your voters, but also continue to provide you the funding needed to get your projects constructed on time, and also limit the amount of interest cost that comes with that. So we are anticipating an approximately a $20 million bond sale coming up here this summer. Once we get your taxable assessed valuations from the PED, again, we'll be structuring this in a way to maintain your mill levy in a steady manner so that we don't have the big fluctuations there. Let's see, I think those are the main items I wanted to hit on tonight. We'd be happy to answer any questions or of the board or of superintendent. I don't know if you had any specific items that you wanted us to address as we head into this process.
Brad, one question I did have, Brad, was do we anticipate tax rates going up because of this bond sale?
No, tax rates will remain the same. We are able to do that, and again, working with staff have made that a priority to keep those tax rates the same. Even with the rise in interest rates here recently, we've built some buffers in to provide for a steady tax rate.
Any other questions for Mr. Hanks?
No, thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I'm sorry to miss the meeting there in the CTEC building. It looks beautiful. And congrats to you all for another successful graduating class.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Our pleasure.
Okay, moving on. Did we have anybody register for public comment?
Mr. President, no, we do not have any public comments or registration.
Okay. Moving on to instruction.
Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Strickland, tonight I bring to you the Title III application. You have some information there. Susan Flowers is here for any questions you have seeking approval of that.
Anybody have any questions on the Title III local plan?
No.
It's not, stump system flyers tonight. That's no questions.
Application. Is it first?
Okay, nobody has any questions? I seek a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Now, these.
Our next item is, we'll have Mr. Parrish and his team, they'll come forward to just give you updates on our high school curriculum handbook changes.
Mr. President, members of the board, Mr. Strickland. I have the curriculum course book for the new school year. We started off on pages 9 and 10 with the graduation requirements. Basically, we had some old requirements from the past, some things that didn't fit there anymore. So we just updated that's what is right now for requirements for graduation. Then moving on to graduation requirements for class of 2029. These are the new requirements for the school year of 2029 and after. I believe it was 2 weeks ago, Mr. Strickland sent us some changes. They're still changing it. So, but as of right now, I believe we are good on the changes that are current.
Change.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. President, members, and Ms. Atherton, I think those changes are not statutory at this point. They're looking at what does qualify in terms of courses to meet those statutory requirements of those credits. And so, again, as Mr. Perry said, what you guys have in front of you are the changes to that handbook. And tonight it's for information. In June, we will take action on those handbook changes.
And correct, just to be clear, we did, like, what was it, the March or April board meeting we did, we as a board approved the graduation credits and the requirements that high schools kids would do. And this is more like Mr. Parrish was saying, kind of aligning those classes with those credits and educational requirements that are statutory. Hobbs does ask our students a little more, but the state is 24 credits and we're 26, and we're 26 credits, so.
On page 52, the only thing we added on AP Studio Art was College Board requires 15 original works to be completed, and we just have it at 15. We're doing what College Board has asked. On page 54, this is a new class, musical theater. The teachers asked for this, and then kids responded by saying if they would like to take that class during their scheduled time. Musical theater is going to be taught by 2 teachers, our drama teacher and our choir teacher. So they'll get both aspects in the same class. On page 77, the AMG class, we moved it to all honors. So if you take AMG, it's an honors class. Yes, ma'am, it's astronomy, meteorology, and geology. Is there any questions that I can help with?
I have any questions?
That was it.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Mr. President, the resources.
Mr. President, members of the board. Your lovely reports, This month we had 3, we had 1 classified appointment, where we had 2 individuals that came on. We had 1 certified retirement. And then 3 classified resignations for this month. I know that the reports look a little bare, which doesn't go into all the background work that's going on with the people in the HR department right now. We're just now starting to get into for next year, kind of the, what we call a busy hiring. So what I would let you know to expect, from June and July will be any individuals that are coming on at the current time, is 12-month contracts, and then to expect to see a very large list in August, when we bring on a 190-day contract. I stand for any questions.
Mr. Byrd?
No questions.
Thank you. Yeah, I hope that lasts very long. August, yeah.
We are working on it.
Okay. Thank y'all very much.
The sparsest list we've seen in a while.
Mrs. Byrd, data.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board. Tonight I have for you a review of our cohort 2024 graduation rate. Just as a reminder, it's always a year behind. So yes, we did just graduate our 2025 graduates, but now we have the certified official 2024 cohort. There's a lot of work that goes into the background in verifying those numbers and making sure that they're accurate. So just as a reminder, class of 2024 would have been any student who entered the 9th grade in 2020 and 2021 school year. And then, or joined us any of those subsequent years, sophomore, junior, senior. And they have to have attended a New Mexico public school for at least 1 snapshot, one of our reporting periods. There's 16 of them in their career. Students who are not included in the cohort are those who have moved out of state, out of country, gone to a private school, or have moved to a homeschool. So just to look at numbers, if you look at every student who ever attended in the class of 2024 that attended Hobbs schools, either the freshman school or the high school, that's 933 students. 123 of those students we've found out, or we have been able to verify, transferred out of country, state, or to a private or homeschool, which leaves 810 students in the total cohort. Now, obviously, we did not graduate all 810 of those students. Some of them graduated in other districts, but their graduation is verified. And because we get partial credit, we get to count them in our rate as well. So those numbers there show kind of the breakdown of that. This slide just has how that is calculated. Every student is worth 1 point if they were with us for all 16 of their snapshots. They're worth a portion of that based on the number of snapshots they were with us if they were not with us the whole time. Next slide, please. And so in looking at that, just an interesting side note, I went back and figured out which students of that 810 were with us for the entire 16 snapshots. There were 535. Of that 535, 518 of them, or 97%, graduated on time. So the students that were with us for their entire freshman to senior year in Hobbs schools graduated, 97% of them graduated on time. Our overall graduation rate is 86% for 2024 cohort. The state put out a memo about kind of recognizing different schools. You may have seen the memo. One of the groups that they recognized were schools, high schools that had the most growth, but they broke it into 2 groups. So they had schools with fewer than 300 graduates and schools with more than 300 graduates. And so we were obviously in the schools with more than 300 graduates. And so they looked at growth and then they looked at overall graduation rate. So we were number 10 out of schools in the state for graduation rate. But we got to talking, Mr. Strickland and I, about it would be interesting to see because the list of schools that were in that top 10 were quite a bit smaller than us. And so we were interested to know of schools that are really like us, size-wise, what does that look like over time? And so I did a little additional analysis. So I'm gonna share my screen. Do I replace the current share? Yes. Okay. So the schools that were listed on the state's list in the top 10, schools like Los Alamos, Lovington, Albuquerque, La Cueva and Volcano Vista from Albuquerque, Gadsden. Those schools are all significantly smaller than us. Now Cleveland and Rio Rancho are very similar in size. And I have their graduation rates here, Los Alamos being the highest with almost 95% graduation rate, but only their cohort is only 270. Whereas we have an 86% graduation rate, but our cohort was 761 that graduated. So you can see that we make up 3% of the overall state graduation rate or number of students in the cohort. But our graduation rate makes up over 3% of the rate. So we are outperforming the number of students that were our portion of the state graduation rate. But in addition to that, if you look at actually the top 10 size-wise schools, these are the top 10. This looks kind of messy, but I'm gonna pare that back just a little bit so you can see just a few at a time. So we'll have Hobbs High School and the state of New Mexico. So this goes back to 2013. So this is our graduation rate trend from 2013. We are the gold line, obviously, and the state is the red line. And that's since 2013, so over the past 12 years. I mentioned that Cleveland and Rio Rancho are the most similar to us, size-wise. So I'll throw those on there. Cleveland is the turquoise and Rio Rancho is the dark green. And they have a cohort of about between 600 and 800, similar to us over the course of those years. And so you can see that our graduation rate and their graduation rates are very similar. But if you put another school up there, let's say Clovis, which is geographically close to us, but a smaller class, this is their graduation rate. It should have been purple. I don't know why it's orange. It should have been purple.
Our computers on.
They don't run purple, I guess. But the orange line represents Clovis. So it's just a visual comparison of our graduation rates over time versus other large districts. So while we may have been number 10 in that list, when you're considering schools like Lovington and Los Alamos, we're actually number 3 for this school year, but we joggle back and forth with Cleveland and Rio Rancho.
Mr. President, members, one thing I'd like to add to that is I appreciate Sean putting that together because it puts in context really the work that happens at Hobbs High. Even with Rio Rancho and Cleveland there, we are graduating 100 more students in each one of them. When you consider Los Alamos and Lovington, we're graduating 3 times the number of graduates. To know that 97% of our students that are here with us for 16 snapshots graduate, That's a phenomenal success rate. Not to say that we're satisfied, that's a phenomenal success rate. And I appreciate the work that her team's done, appreciate the work that the high school's done to continue to do that, because that's not easy. We've got students that just simply don't have the support to make education important, and staff consistently find ways to make education relevant to them and continue to get kids engaged. And so we will continue pushing forward and pushing higher as we have more work to do. But there are good numbers in that 2024 cohort data.
I'll stand for any questions if anybody has.
Any questions for Mr. Burke?
No questions.
Nope, I have any questions either. I just echo Gene's comments. That's, thank you very much for what you do and digging into that a little deeper. Sometimes the numbers you see doesn't tell the whole story, so you need to dig a little deeper. And again, thanks to the high school staff. It was a phenomenal graduation Friday night. Over 700 kids got their diplomas. So it's really a very, very, very special occasion, and it just speaks volumes to the hard work that these kids and these parents and teachers put in to get those kids when they start pre-K or kindergarten to that time when they walk across that stage and get that diploma. So it's you consider all that hard work that goes into that. So I've said it 100 times and I'll say it again. The number one key to student success and getting students to that spot when they walk across that stage is parental involvement, be involved in your kids' education, and kids being in school. So if their kids are there, and parents are involved and engaged and making sure that they're holding those kids accountable and making sure they're in school, then the kids are going to be successful. Thank you very much for doing that. Mr. Young, operations.
Mr. President, members of the board, I want to start on project updates. I know we're running long already. I really want to commend freshman staff, Lana Weldon, her staff, along with Hobbs High School and our elementaries as well, because I think what the data shows is that if you attend school in Hobbs and you go throughout your life in Hobbs, you're going to be prepared when you enter Hobbs Freshman High School. You're going to be prepared when you go into Hobbs High School. And I think it's a telling story. We lose kids to other schools, or we get kids late in their career and have potential. A tremendous job all of our staffs do K through 12 Hobbs schools. 97% graduation rate is phenomenal for those kids. Everything Hobbs schools, not only throughout high school, but also for those kids that started elementary schools as well. And so kudos to curriculum instruction, all our principals and their staffs out there at Hobbs schools. It's great. So with that being said, I'd like to go into our project updates. We're going to start with new middle schools. Here tonight is Mr. Jeff Reed, one of our architects on the project. You've seen him, he hasn't got to talk to us before. Mr. Lopez does all the talking, but for some reason, I don't understand why. These people that still have kids in school feel like school's out there to take vacations. For whatever reason, Mr. Lopez and his family are in a terrible location called Jamaica this week. So we get Mr. Reed, but it's good to have Mr. Reed because Mr. Reed does the actual work on that project. So I'll turn it over to you.
We're recording that, so it'll go to RJ and Alan on that. So, okay, thank you. Mr. Board President and board members and Mr. Strickland. So just a quick update. Papers are getting moving. Everything else with PSFA. We've had a few changeovers with PSFA and getting a new regional manager and everything along that. So we're getting all those papers documented and everything filed on that. Our first pre-construction meeting is going to happen this Thursday afternoon on that for both projects. And then the CMAR amendments have been executed for both projects as well. On Hobbs Middle School, we are on both projects. We've got the Hobbs has their POs ready to roll and everything else. And then PSFA, we're waiting on their POs to come in as well, but that's not going to stop anything. As soon as that gets executed on that, we'll make adjustments and make sure all that takes place for it. And then Bradbury STAM is going to be mobilizing on that as well, getting their crews, subcontractors and everybody else going, but they're also getting their subcontracts and everything else executed and in place. So they're ready to hit the ground running on that when time is right for it. New middle school, I think the only thing we're kind of waiting on right now is the final signatures on the title of the property. And once that happens, we'll issue the notice to proceed that day. That'll release Bradbury STAM to start going on that. As we know, on that project, we've got an early work package, which is the Calle Grande Road extension. And then we've got the school itself on that. So we'll actually have 2 notice to proceeds that we'll issue on that project. And we're anticipating June 9th, around that date, to have that notice to proceed on the new middle school. Heiser, same on it. We're looking at June 16th or June 23rd for that notice to proceed for them as well on that. And going back and thinking about the construction schedule, all along, we're looking about 2 years on construction time for Hobbs New Middle School. And then it's going to be probably 2.5 years in that range on the Heiser Middle School replacement. Because once we tear down the other school, then we can construct the football field and everything that's happening on the field event side. So we'll have the school done, but there'll still be probably 5-6 months of construction that happens there on the west side where the existing school is to get that going. So probably December of 27 on Heiser, we would be 100% complete on that. New middle school, April, May of 27 on it. Any questions? Other than that, that's where we're at and we're ready to go. And I know Bradbury's ready to go, and Doug's always pegging me about, let's go. We got to get schools built. So on that for it.
Thank you. Any questions? I appreciate your patience and your work. I know it's been a back and forth at the state level for sure, trying to get funding secured and property and all that. So it's, we're looking forward to getting this kicked off. I know we had a great groundbreaking for the new Heiser, and then I'm looking forward to hopefully in the next short time frame. I don't want to say anything, but getting a new middle school.
Right.
And settle on the name for that one yet, but the new middle school get kicked off the ground. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on to the next screen, ongoing district projects, College Lane completed, that is 100%. The intercom systems at Sanger and Jefferson, those projects have begun. So we opened up school for next year, Sanger and Jefferson. We'll have the intercom, new cabling, servers, everything will be in place on those 2 campuses. Great job to Andrew Tarpley and his staff. Renovations taking place. We have summer parking repairs and striping that will happen on 10 of our 13 campuses this summer of our elementary campuses. Remember last summer we addressed Hobbs High and Hobbs School, and those were large parking lots. This summer we'll hit 10 of our 13 campuses, excluding College Lane, Southern Heights, and Mills that were just redone. So those was done 2 years ago. We're looking at state partnership in replacing fire alarm system, College Lane Stone. We'll be working on system supposed to launch on that. Classroom doors will be replaced in Coronado. Those are on order. So that would be a project that takes place during the school year. It takes a while to order that many doors. And the measure, because every door is, if after the school has sat there for over 60 years, things have changed. You'll notice across the parking lot here at CTEC, we do have construction going on with these 2 practice fields. Those are expected to be completed at the, before 2 days begin. So that will affect, football, also soccer. It's included in that as well. Both fields will be striped 4 months, both soccer and football. And of course, community use. HVAC and electrical upgrades, we've got the engineering on that, going. And so once we get the engineering completed on that, then we have the process of replacing all the HVAC and electrical on those 2 campuses next summer. That's also something that we're looking at state partnership with as well. Roofing repairs, that is on multiple campuses. Mr. Drake handed me a list of work orders on most recent rains, and it's extensive. So that's also something that's going to probably take some state partnerships, especially if we need complete replacements on a couple of the campuses. After next week, after we get through with summer training for teachers, in June 9th, we begin the training center to replace the septic system over there, actual sewer lines, and those comments will be done as well. The city, look out front central office, sewer line replacement, Highland Middle School cafeteria remodel, we get a demo on that, and we'll expand that kitchen area out just a little bit. If you've ever been in Highland, that kitchen area is very, very small, and so moving pot pans and entrees, things like that. We've had a few workers' comp claims out of that, so we're now to expand that kitchen area this summer. And that's in progress now. Other action items, capital outlay requests have been ordered. We did over $500,000 worth of furniture, classroom furniture, and open replacements. Some of our buildings, not extensive, some, as much as probably needed. Or line replacements, storage areas, on our campuses. That's what we got going on.
Questions on project? A lot of work, always busy in the summer.
Yes, sir. Next item, we have consideration of P&G transportation contract. This is a yearly deal that we do for our transportation for to and from service, picking kids up, bringing them to school, picking them up from school, taking them home. Unlike our SEG, transportation went down. And so, the state always balances out. But, so there is a small change from last year. There is a small decrease on what we would be able to pay with P&G. We've met with P&G. They're aware of everything. We just need approval for the contract, from the board. Motion on that to approve the contract that's in the packet. And once that's approved by the board, P&G again have them sign it, go into effect August 1st.
Then we approved the transportation contract.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the contract? Seeing none, I take a vote for approval.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
And next on the list is consideration and approval of the preventative maintenance plan. For that, I have Mr. Sean Drake here. Mr. Drake works continuously on preventative maintenance. And our staff, our operations staff, he is our director of energy and controls mainly those FMAR rankings that we get on a implementation that allowed us to get 5%. Great.
Mr. President, members of the board, I have for your consideration our 25-26 preventative maintenance plan. And that's in your packet, so I won't read all 220 pages to you tonight. So hopefully you've had an opportunity to look at that. If you have any questions, I stand for questions or any clarifications. Thank you.
Yes, it is. And anybody any questions for Mr. Drake? I know, definitely skimming through that and reading through it, it is a lot of work, but, I can tell you, Mr. Drake and his staff and operations, we're the shining star in the state when it comes to preventive maintenance and maintenance of our schools. That's like we always say, that's the gold standard. We're definitely the gold standard in the state. It's always, we're at the top of the list when it comes to FMRs and everything else, our audits and all that. So I appreciate all the hard work you do.
Thank you.
Put into that. It all starts with a good plan, and I think we have one here. Any other questions? I seek a motion for approval of the preventive maintenance plan. Second. Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Thank you.
Mr. Drake, as my brother called you. As my brother called you. Not yet. Is he supposed to? He got the operations job in Carlsbad, so. He doesn't call me. I said, I figured he'd be called, so, yeah. Thank you. All in, all done? All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate all your hard work, Mr. Young. Mr. Bird again, business.
Mr. President, members of the board. So first item for concurrence of items A, B, and C. So consideration of monthly expenditures, consideration of investments, and then, excuse me, consideration of bars. The first three bars, just a little background, are final award letters that we received. So we had one decrease with our RLIS. We increased with Title II, and then our Carl Perkins redistribution also increased. Then we have an initial budget for public school kitchen infrastructure. This money will be spent by June 30th, no doubt about it. So we just need approval to create the bar.
The board's had their packets for a couple of days. Everybody's had time to review these. Any questions you can pass on to Mr. Bird? Any other questions, discussion at this time? I take a motion to approve the expenditures and investments and the bars as listed. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.
So, Mr. President, members of the board, tonight, coming before you for consideration of the approval of the operational budget for FY '26. So in the handouts that I gave you before the meeting, I gave what was actually given to us with the 910B5 that was given to us from PED. And you'll notice that the number that was generated total with our number of units and then the unit value of $6,801.35. We're going to have an operational budget next year, or an SEG, of $134,801,383.13. This was a little bit higher than the projection that we had done back in April when we didn't know when we hadn't received it yet, where we had projected around $133,706,644.63. So it actually went up $1,094,738.50. So that's where we're going to generate, again, our operational dollars. Also, as a handout that was also provided in the packet,
was the operational budget. And I'm not like Mr. Calderon now. I don't have 2020, so I'm going to have to use my readers to see it. But if you'll look at that, under our revenue section, we do have SEG, where that $134,801,383 is on a line item. Then property tax, oil and gas are basic estimates based on, we were only through the third quarter, moving into the fourth quarter to June 30th. So again, just an estimated amount. We do have the middle school athletic agreement with the city of Hobbs, along with the Veteran Memorial Complex. So those are pretty well established numbers, as those agreements have not changed. And then interest, again, is also kind of an estimated number into fourth quarter. And then indirect cost would be another from federal programs, another estimated number, for a total operational revenue of $136,127,901. So based on that, we'll move into the expenditures. I will not go line item by line item unless there's a specific question, but I will tell you, just as you all know, having served on the board, that the majority, anywhere from 85 to 87%, is built into our personnel or our salary expenditures. I will tell you that calculation this year ended up at 86.23%, which was up from last year, which was 85.12. So as you go down through those line items, I will tell you, we had estimated the insurance costs for health, life, dental, and vision at an 8% increase. Those actually increased 10%. So it was a little bit more than what we'd initially budgeted for. But again, I know one of the things that Mr. Strickland does talk, and I know has done in the past, people tend to confuse that, well, if I get a raise, it's going all to insurance. Well, if you take your actual, what you pay in insurance, your 4,500 or whatever it happens to be, and you take that times 10%, be $450. Well, this year, every employee is receiving a minimum raise of 4%. If you take a salary at 60,000 and you multiply it times 4%, that's well above the $450. And then, so our total salary expenditures would be $109,549,821. Then we have non-personnel district expenditures. So we always incur district travel, professional development, our operational portion of the budget, budget allocations for non-payroll accounts, our instructional materials, which I know we touched on the last meeting, is an every year cost, our risk coverage, our workman's comp, and student accident insurance. And then I do want to say thank you to Mr. Drake for providing these projected numbers. I feel like are probably a lot cleaner as going into FY26, just because he knows that part of it way better than I do. And then as we move down, then we have balance before changes. So again, some of the things that we did incur, the minimum 4% raise for all staff, our summer school costs, summer institute, safety and security. Then I don't want to call them below the line changes, but then we have our budget requests that we get from the campuses and different departments. As we as a cabinet go through those and provide priority 1, 2, and 3 to those, we were actually able to take all of the requests this year and make those happen, even if they ended up in a category 2 or 3. So based on that, I stand for any questions on the operational budget.
Any questions? On the budget?
The other hand, well, it's not a handout. I apologize. It is in the packet. I just want to bring your attention to is the operating budget expenditure, which the system that we use in New Mexico, we call OBMS. this is what we put and provide to the state of New Mexico or to PED. And basically what this document did was provide fund function for and object of where those line items hit in the different funds. And so basically you'll look and you'll have other funds in there. So these will be all of our federal funds also. Now, I will tell you, this was a best guess on some of these. So Mr. Romine, we will have some bars coming probably just as we get allocations and those kind of things as we move into the fall and then even into the spring.
Have any comments on the budget?
Mr. President, members, one comment I would like to make is, we feel good about the budget for this year. It's a good budget. I do anticipate PED coming back with their one-time adjustment before January and adjusting the unit value. I think they're curious to see what happens with K-12 plus and some of those other funding models to see what money's still available. And so the 4% raise is actually from this year's initial salary moving into next year's will actually be a 5% salary increase than what we had this year. If you'll remember back in December, we were able to make that 1% adjustment to all salary for the remainder of the year, and we did it in a one-time payment. However, our salary schedules didn't reflect that. So the good nature of this budget is exactly where we believe it is. Would we have liked it to have been more? Absolutely, I think we would. But I can tell you, we appreciate the legislature and doing what they're doing and putting money into public education and continuing to invest in the lives of our students and in our employees, because the lives of our students don't happen if it's not for the employees in front of them. In addition to that, you'll see something that hasn't been in our budget before, which is safety and security. And that's a placeholder. Typically what we've done as a school district is we have been able to put our safety and security efforts and measures all on our capital outlay budget, projects and other things that you heard from Mr. Young. Those costs continue to escalate and continue to remain high. And so we wanted to make sure that as we've done for the better part of 20 years, being proactive and making sure that we're paying attention to what needs to happen to provide the best setting for our students and staff, that we're able to do that and we're nimble enough to do that. And so that $250,000 is not allocated to any one thing, whether it's equipment or any other endeavor at this point, but it is a placeholder of $250,000 for that effort. In addition to all of the other things that will continue to happen. We're not removing anything because of that.
Mr. President, I'd also like to say thank you to you, Mr. Romine, Mr. Strickland, and the other members that served on our budget committee. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules to help answer, any questions that come up as we get to this point.
And that's one thing I'd like to add is thank you for all your hard work. I know you wear two hats, and it's been a busy time of year for you with retirements and adding positions, and then also dealing with budget as well. So I understand where your hair went. So I just did I say that part out loud? But just a couple of things I'd like to add to that in setting those committees. When you see the budget request there, like Mr. Burt said, it goes out to principals, to staff, the cabinet, and say, hey, what do y'all need? What would you like to see? It's kind of like a wish list. And if we have the money, of course, we'd like to grant those. Most of those are staff positions, additional staff positions. The majority of those are. It's not like nice to haves or whatever. It's actually additional staff positions. So that's where a lot of that money goes. Definitely the priority ones are normally all staff positions. Our additional staffing, I think they were was it like a reading coaches or instructional coaches and things like that. Also, one part that definitely that we tend to lead the state in as well is putting money back in the classroom. So 86% of that 136 million is going back toward our educators and our teachers and back to our classrooms. So that's definitely a big piece of our budget. So you got to figure with everything else you see going on in the schools with paying the light bill and everything else, all the other stuff you see going on, that's managed basically on 14% of your budget. 86% goes to the classroom, so 14% of your budget goes to everything else. So every 14% or 86% goes to salaries and health insurance and all that. So definitely thank you for that. Thank you for working hard to making that happen. And definitely, it's our privilege, and we're definitely honored to be able to do that 4% across the board, which is like Mr. Strickland said, will be 5% on salary schedules. So definitely honored to do that. Wish we could do more, for sure. Okay, anything else? Okay. So that being said, I will seek a motion to approve the budget. Second. Sorry. Have a motion and a second to approve the 25-26 budget. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Hey, Mr. Byrd, you got your money.
All right, I appreciate that. So, Mr. President, members of the board, the next item is for your consideration, a permanent cash transfer from our operating reserve to two different funds. First is food services, or what we call our 21,000. The other is the universal free lunch, which is a state-funded fund for 21, it's our 21-100 fund. The total for that request would be $4,116,393.
And Mr. President, members, I'll add some context to that. I believe the state of New Mexico has done some good things in terms of universal meals for students. In my opinion, the United States Department of Agriculture hasn't done enough to keep up with that. Our National School Lunch Program is funded through USDA, and simply said, those reimbursements aren't keeping up with the costs. And you have a state minimum wage of $15 an hour as well. Something's got to give. And so with the cost of our escalation in staffing, in terms of just sheer labor cost and benefits on our nutritional services side, this permanent cash transfer will allow nutritional services to be at zero so that we can continue to lobby PED and the legislature to make school districts whole. We are not alone in this. Talk to superintendents. This is happening all over the state in terms of what that need is on their school lunch program. The New Mexico program has helped. However, I will say the original allocation of $30 million in the state fund is not enough, because now more school districts are participating in it. So now everyone's slice of the pie is small. So there's more work to do here, but this cash transfer will allow us, our nutritional services to be made whole, and we do have this cash available in our operating reserves to make this transfer.
So it's another one of those unfunded mandates.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Strickland. We did kind of discuss this the other day, and it's definitely something we'll be looking to our local legislators and at the state level to try to change some of that, try to get a little more money into that fund. Any other questions for that? Take a motion for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to consider the cash transfer for nutritional services. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Now, if Sonia goes on a big old vacation, I'm getting a little nervous.
Hey. Thank you, Mr. Byrd. Appreciate
That
everything.
was a joke,
Yeah.
folks. My poor attempt at humor.
Mr. Strickland.
Yes, sir. Mr. President, members of the board, I have for your consideration the second reading of Policy Service Advisory number 261 and number 262. As a reminder, we did take this action in April and taking action tonight, and then we are due to take further action in June. After that, any additions or deletions or corrections that we make to this policy, we would upload to Policy Service Advisory Policy Service so that they could post that and make that part of our policies. Essentially what these do is 261 now aligns with school schedules and course loads, which we are already in compliance with. And then 262 is the new graduation requirements that this board took action on earlier in the school year for that incoming class of freshmen, so that we could prepare for and make sure that their course schedules and master schedules are ready to go.
Okay, take a motion to approve the second reading of policy advisory number 261 and 262. Second. A motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Yes, sir, Mr. President, members of the board, I have for your information, the next item. Typically, we would have this before school is out. With us moving the board agenda, school is now out. And we did begin summer work hours today. Staff, departments, campuses opened by 7 and did not close until 5 p.m. And that schedule will remain in place Monday through Thursday throughout from now until July the 18th, where that Friday will be, technically that Thursday will be our last Friday. Beginning that Monday, the 21st, we will go back to 5 days a week, 7:30 to 4:30, campuses on their typical hours. That I'll stand for questions.
I have none. No.
Announcements, Mr. President, members of the board, I have a number of announcements for you. The first one is there, Terry's provided you the agenda for the school board law conference set to begin on June the 4th and carrying through June 6th and June 7th. We do have all your reservations taken care of. As we come back on June the 2nd, Terry will update any final plans that any one of us have, any travel arrangements that you need to make. She's willing to make those adjustments for you. Next, cabinet in your community is that blue and gold sheet that you have in front of you. And Governor Lujan Grisham will be in Hobbs on June the 5th to hold cabinet with her cabinet members and secretary at New Mexico Junior College, Thunderbird Circle. Beginning at 3 to 6, they will have a state expo and then a town hall at 5:30 to 7:30. I do plan on attending. In addition to that, Secretary Padilla has reached out. She will be here the night before, and we look to have some time with our cabinet and her during the middle of that day. It's her and I are working on that schedule as we speak in terms of that visit. Other announcements, we have 3 campuses that will be completing their campus leadership program graduation, and that is on June the 6th. And those campuses are Sanger Elementary, Mills Elementary, and Jefferson Elementary. I will travel to Holdsworth to congratulate those staff members, those administrators in their graduation from Holdsworth, which has been a 2-year cohort. So we're super proud of them and all that work that's gone on to not really changing, but improving student achievement and professional staff practices on their campus. June the 9th, this is not on your list, but June the 9th, we will begin our summer programming for kids college to middle schools, as well as our high school programs. So those will all be in full force. They will run through the 27th. I anticipate by that time as well, we will have begun our summer reader distribution. We worked on that a little bit today, and we'll continue to work on that. But if you remember, Hobbs Schools provides 10 books to every single elementary student every single summer. And the goal is to grow their personal library. And these books are selected by them and their parents prior to school being out. The current kinder to 5th graders, they receive their books before school's out, so they have all of theirs. But one thing we do as cabinet is we go in the summertime and we take those welcome packets and welcome readers to incoming kindergartners. We deliver 10 books to them as well and encourage parents to read with their children nightly to support literacy within their children. Also on June the 9th, you have this other flyer, is the Teach Plus New Mexico. And so Hope Morales and her group will be here. Actually, they'll be here at CTEC that day to conduct this little summit that they have put together, Bridging Education and Industry for Economic Growth. We will have a student panel that are comprised of students from our middle school and high school, as well as there'll be other panels there that we do have staff serving on. I believe Juan Carlos Medina will be on the staff panel at 1:15 as well. So everyone's welcome to attend. It is open to the community and we'll be here at CTEC. There is a registration, so if you are interested, we'll post this on our socials as well for individuals that are interested. We will have a regular board meeting on June the 17th. I will say right now, with the work that Mr. Young described, there may be a need for us to return here for our board meeting in June. We may not have restrooms and our boardroom may be under construction. So we're hopeful that we can complete that work in advance of that, but leading up to us posting our agenda, that's when we will know whether or not we'll have our board meeting at the boardroom or here at CTEC again. District will be closed on June 19th for Juneteenth holiday. And then as a reminder, the New Mexico School Board Association Summer Leadership Conference is July 10th through the 12th, and it is in Cloudcroft this year, I believe. So if you're interested, let Terry know and we will definitely get you registered and get accommodations taken care of. With that, I stand for questions.
Questions on announcements?
No.
Got a couple of things, what Mr. Bird was talking about. I was being there at night, I had cataract surgery, I couldn't see at night. I had cataract surgery and they redid my eyes, now I got, at 83 years old, I got 20/20 vision. I can read this, that's what he was talking about, I can see the small light. And then I got an award. This is my 10th year with the Leamington Schools, makes it 49 years. Next year I'll hit the silver age, 50. If one more year, every year in my year. So it's 49 years teaching, 30 with the Hop Schools, 9 in Brownfield, Texas, and now 10 with the Leamington Schools, and I forgot one item. When we were taking pictures, a couple of them, my kids came up, Mr. C, what are you doing here? They were gonna graduate. I had them at the detention center. And then, so I wrote their names down. I left it in my pocket, washed my clothes, so I forgot who the kids were because I had so many kids. That's what happens when you get old.
20/20 vision didn't help that.
That's what my wife says, you got 20/20, I should have never taken her with me when we went to see the doctor, because every time I don't see something, 20/20 doesn't help. You're just like my wife.
Thank you for sharing that, Mr. Calderon. I do remember you mentioning that during the graduation, that a couple of those kids that you had that were actually in the detention center got their stuff straight and actually got to walk across the stage and graduate. So thank you very much for that. What you do up there at the Leamington Schools and at the detention center, it does make a difference. We appreciate it. About anything else? Sure. Right, I take a motion to adjourn.
I'm gonna
Second.
Second. Thank you for coming.